Good to see you all. Thanks for having me back.
Thank you. So I want to throw up this headline. This is from December 4th. This AI model, quote, was ready to kill someone when told it would be shut down. And I bring this up because one of the things that has people concerned about AI is that, one, it can do a whole lot of things that humans can do, but then this notion that AI is advancing so quickly and can advance to the point where it can create new programs, replicate itself, and maybe even like outright kill us. Are we being alarmist? Should we be afraid that AI could actually kill us? And I'm not being facetious here. I am being dead serious.
Well, let's level set. I've seen those articles. I'm living it myself back at the law firm Wilkie. I'm teaching students at USC Law School. I'm dealing with my kids. I'm dealing with my parents. So it's everywhere, and it's really the speed in which it's coming. When I came back into practice a year ago, we were just getting started at the firm. And now, a year later, it is a big part of what we're doing, what our clients are doing. I'm seeing it with my students who are, going to be entering the workforce. And it's just about every class now talking about how this is going to affect their careers, how it's affecting my career, how it's affecting the interactions with my family. So, look, we're at a point where it is moving quickly. People are using it. It's happening. But I think moving a step back is how do we deal with it? The predictions that you're talking about, Jonathan, we can, slow these things down and prevent them, obviously, the bad ones, if we act. This is not just the federal government, which doesn't seem to be doing much, if anything, right now. We need public-private partnerships. We need reasonable regulations. And I'll go back to what happened with the internet. We had Section 230, which was designed to protect, the content on those platforms, on the social media platforms, to allow them to grow. Well, that never changed in 30 years, and we've now seen what happened on these platforms, the misinformation, the disinformation, and frankly, the garbage that's on there. So here we have a chance at the get-go to try to do something about this.
Mr. Second Gentleman, I want to stay pull on a thread that you just said, which is the federal government doesn't seem to be doing much about this right now. Axios actually broke some news this morning that the White House is now pressuring a Utah Republican state legislator who introduced a bill about AI transparency and kid safeties that would provide at a state level some regulatory guardrails to protect against some of the issues that Jonathan just outlined. These are what seem to me to be centrist, common sense measures. But why do you think that the White House is taking steps to quash it? And it's not just Utah, it's actually state pieces of legislation around the country that the White House is trying to interfere with right now.
Oh, look at this White House. Look at the incompetence, the corruption, the cruelty. Some of the folks responsible for AI policy are investors in some of these companies and benefiting from not having regulation and not having reasonable reforms. So not surprising at all coming from this White House. But states can act. States are acting. State AGs have power to do some enforcement here and some regulation. But again, it's not just the government. Some of these companies themselves, it's in their interest to act as well. To have large-scale job loss is ultimately not going to be great for the economy. We need retraining. We need, placement efforts and the like that have been talked about in some of those articles as well. There may be other new jobs that come up. People just need to be willing to adapt to this technology. I remember as a young lawyer, I started out going into libraries, and the whole thing was who can find the information the quickest. Now that's over. Everyone has equal access to the information. So as a lawyer, I'm constantly trying to figure out ways, how can I provide advice? How can I provide judgment? How can I provide value? And this is what I'm talking to my law students about, and this is what other folks in the workforce need to be thinking about. But again, we all need to be in this together, public, private, and these companies. But folks also in the workforce need to be realizing what's happening right now. A lot of people aren't reading these articles, and they don't realize how quickly this is moving. And it is moving incredibly quickly. And people need to pay attention to that.
Mr. Imhoff, from the fear and concerns over artificial intelligence to the fear and concern about from retribution from this administration that I think you just called corrupt and incompetent. When you, as a lawyer, as someone who has, it's entertainment law, so you're not like, you're not hanging out and prosecuting, but all lawyers care about the rule of law and how it's utilized for and against people that live in this country. And you see the Trump administration failing to indict Democrats who are involved in this video where all they said was do not follow illegal orders. You have Don Lemon in court over last weekend, or on Friday, pleading not guilty for covering this church protest. When you look at how this administration, how the DOJ is weaponizing the legal system to go after the president's perceived enemies, how are you, now that you're out of office, thinking about that? And how does it come up with your law students? Because this is also something that they will have to think about.
Well, look, I may be an entertainment and media lawyer, but I'm still a lawyer. And that means I believe in the Constitution. I believe in the rule of law. I believe in separation of powers. I believe in a Department of Justice that represents us, the people, not the President of the United States. And one of the most shameful things that I've seen as a lawyer was that pathetic performance by the Attorney General at that hearing, wagging that finger when just being asked questions by members of Congress and talking about how great a job allegedly the president was doing. Just shameful. It's outrageous. All Americans, wherever you are, whatever political party that you're in, should be very concerned about a performance like that from our lawyer, the people's lawyer, not the president's lawyer. All lawyers must be concerned. All people must be concerned.
Mr. Imhoff, we have, less than a minute left. So considering yesterday was Valentine's Day, how's your Valentine's doing?
I'm still making up from the birthday debacle during the campaign.
I don't want to say nothing, sir, but we all read it.
Yeah, she lit me up in that book, didn't she? So I've been like, look at that post I did. There's a lot of love at the house. We had a great dinner last night. She's been on the road on her book tour. She was just in the South listening to folks, and so I've been extra Valentine-y, let's just say, yesterday.
Jigging yourself at the whole former second gentleman.
Yeah, I'm still making a comeback.
Exactly. We believe in you, sir. Thank you so much for coming back to the weekend.